So good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to come back. Do any of you remember my talk at the conference? Okay. I want to give you a little bit of background into something that happened to me about 3 years ago. There's been something that's been on my mind for, about the past 30 years. And that something has been getting bigger and bigger. It's an issue, honestly, that has been really bothering me. Why is it that some organizations, whether it's small family-run businesses or huge corporations, why is it that some of them succeed? And why is it that so many others who compete against them fail? What is it inside organizations, regardless if it's a company, a nonprofit, even a government agency? What is it about some organizations that enable them to succeed, especially for tonight's talk on how do you find, hire, and keep top talent? Most organizations that compete in the same industry have the same access to the same labor talent pool. And so I spent 3 years researching this really troubling thought that's been kind of gnawing away at me. And I finally discovered what it is, and so I wrote a book called The Compassionate Organization that helps organizations who walk through the pages, step by step, how to go from good to great by actually unleashing the untapped talent in their workforce. So let me just start things out by saying, when you think about organizations who succeed versus those many organizations they compete against who don't, what is it? There's one thing that above all else matters most. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It has nothing to do with the family that runs the business or the person who founded the business. It has nothing to do with the leadership team, believe it or not. It's true. It has nothing to do with the particular products or services every company in that industry offers. It has nothing to do with where that company operates in terms of what country in the world or what state in the United States. It has nothing to do with whether they're publicly traded or privately held. What do you think the one thing that I've discovered that above all else is the single most important attribute or characteristic that determines successful companies and organizations?
The employees.
Yeah, absolutely. But employees, as you know, working in your own relatively successful, stable organizations, may or may not have the requisite tools, skills, background, or the key to unlock the door to those successful outcomes. So what else might it be? Yes?
Motivation.
Huh?
How to motivate.
Motivation is great, but what about an organization that inherently does not care at all about its people and doesn't believe about motivation? It does care about profit minus cost equals margins. Then what do? You close the doors and you go home. And as some people said before, that positive thought process is go right into retirement now. Here's what it is. My research has shown me that the one thing that determines organizational success in any market, for any organization that has competing access to the same finite labor market, it's whether or not they have a compassionate organization or not. And you can kind of hem and haw or say what's a culture, what's a compassionate culture. I'm making my book available tonight to anybody who wants me to sign it later on. It's for sale later on, but there's also going to be a red little kind of thing going around. I'd be happy to raffle a few copies. But here's what's going on. Every organization is filled with that thing you just said, employees. Employees, if you think about Jack Welch, does everybody remember Jack Welch? CEO of General Electric, who actually spent decades there rising up through the ranks. When he was anointed CEO of General Electric, he got a name early on in his tenure as CEO of Neutron Jack. He got the name because he told all of the department heads across the entire 65, 70,000 employees worldwide, you need to reduce your respective organization departments by X% of your workforce. So that's how he got the name. But in any organization like GE or your own business, there are 3 levels or 3 talent levels of employee. Your A's, your B's, and your C's. And you pay what you get for. So let's talk about the A's. Your rising stars, best employees, the highest rainmakers, generate the most profit. They're the ones you can rely on. They're the ones you want to put on your website as a video testimonial of why our clients love our employees. Your basic premise as an organization with your A's is give her or him what they need, what they want, get out of their way, and let them achieve amazing results. That's the A's. Now, what do you do with the B's? The B's, and you should figure out where you fit in this, as well as most of your employees. You can figure this out pretty quickly. Your B's are basically competent. They have enough skills, background, experience to do their jobs in your company relatively effectively. That's where you give them training, coaching, you reward them, you recognize them, you give them the stuff that they need to go from B to A. So if there are A's and there are B's, and I said there are 3, what does that leave? This is not like one of those SAT things where it's like abacab, abacab, abacab. Yeah, C's. The C's are neutron jack. You're below average, barely functional employees who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, somehow got into your organization, and God help you if they're more than 51% of your workforce. Your C's are the ones who are bringing your organization down. So here's my question that I pose for you to take away and take back to the office, so to speak. How the heck did you get the C's? What are you doing to get the B's to the A's? And how do you know who the A's are? How did you find them? And how do you keep them motivated? Because if they're not motivated, they're leaving. Not if, but when. So, you know the optimum advertising campaign, the Three Brothers Movers. I don't have to show you the video. This ad campaign predicated on those rogue movers have nothing to do with the ethics that your industry is bound by, but certainly gave your members a reputational black eye just through the mere getting this notion out of movers as a whole. So not only are you combating that, but you're combating the reputation of those organizations who don't care about the ethical standards that you strive to achieve every day. So what does that mean? Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. We went around the room. Cindy spearheaded a conversation around Positive Thoughts 2019. But honestly, I'm sorry if I have to say this and you don't like it. Nobody should be telling you how to motivate yourself. This is the whole notion of intrinsic, extrinsic motivation. Your A's are intrinsically motivated. Your B's and your C's may or may not be. So if I were to ask you what motivates organizations who perform well, their people, the answer is cha-ching, money? No. In fact, the one attribute of every organization who outperforms all their competitors is a compassionate culture. How do you build culture? You fill your workforce with people who share your sense of vision, your mission, and your values, which ascribe to being passionate and energetic. So having said that, where do you find them? Where do you find them? If you were to invite me to come in and do an audit of your human capital, your recruiting, your talent management initiatives, the first thing that I would ask you is, where are your best people coming in from? And how do you get more of them? And so that's the answer that you should be if you're responsible for hiring, staffing, or you can influence those people in your company who do that. Go back and have a conversation with them. Sure, high school as well as college ROTC. Why? Those are the people who have already demonstrated commitment, loyalty, work ethic. They're physically fit. They're the people who care enough about themselves to take the long road to career success. So you want people who can do the job physical requirements, of course. But ladies and gentlemen, that's setting the bar incredibly low. I'm going to talk in a minute about how A-level employees like you guys, what are the attributes of somebody who's successful at 18 or 78 and everything in between. So you want people who understand, especially on the residential side of things, how to actually care about your customers. Where does most of your business come from? Referral. So do you think it's helpful or a hindrance to have a phenomenal story of success in serving your customers? It's important. No, it's not important. It's freaking critical. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, in any industry, if you were to look at a distribution curve of incredibly below average service providers and the top tier, the distribution curve is 75+% of all of the people in any industry work for Me Too companies. What does that mean? We do this too. So, you want to find people, whether they're high school dropouts or they're the mature workforce, who have demonstrated during the interview process that they have success stories about how they've gone above and beyond to serve customers. That should be the only criteria, other than commercial driver's license, ability to lift X number of pounds, show up not high or drunk, don't smoke in front of the customer. Those are your baseline. So, think about your social and professional networks. Think about where all of your best people come from. Now get ready, because here's what I would ask you. Write down on a piece of paper, where are your best people coming from? You don't have to do this now. You may not even know this necessarily. But here's my question. You're not going to get top talent until you know who is your best employees, where do they come from, and why are you doing that? Why are you trying to spend all this time and effort figuring out where do our great people come from?
So you get more.
How? Cindy, how you doing? What? You heard what I said, right? You can still hear me? Oh, anybody in the back, can you still hear me? I'd say, is the microphone on, but I don't have one. Yes. Huh? Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
So let me ask you something. A big problem with our industry is that it's just really hard work that nobody wants to do. So many companies are looking to find somebody that's willing to do this because it's such hard work. And we were just talking over here that with $15 an hour, minimum wage, they can work at McDonald's or they can work at a moving company, go big things. So how do you find those great people?
Yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Does anybody have an answer in terms of it's really hard work and maybe not the kind of pay or even the kind of position that somebody earlier on in their career these days would want to take on? Let's kind of take this backwards. Does anybody have at least one relatively young, under the age of 30, for some of you, employees who actually have excelled doing that kind of physical labor? Is there anybody in your organization who does a great job? I have one, I have two. Come on, there are more of you. Here's my question. And I'm sorry, sir, your name is? Stephen. Can I call you Fred, because I'm not Alex? Just call you. Stephen, here's what I'm going to push back on gently to everybody in the room. Why should anybody want to come work in your company? What makes you exceptional? What makes you a great culture? There's more to compensation than money. Oh, guess what? HR and training organizations have been researching this for many years. They ask tens and hundreds of thousands of employees from all industries, what is the most important factor for you that determines a great place to work? And who here believes that money is always the number one or number two answer? Be honest. Okay, it's not, but thank you for playing along. Meaning, let's assume that I could get paid 8 an hour or 15. I'm going to go for the 15 an hour all the time. But assuming that you're, Stephen, your company is paying in range with what other people are paying, here's my pushback. Are you recruiting the right people who understand and believe in the value of hard work? How are they raised to do hard work? I'll go back to your recruiting process. Show me your list of interview questions. I'll ask you a step further. Why should anybody want to come work for your company? Do you have a reward and recognition program? Don't answer it. That's okay. But think through this checklist, because Stephen, here's where we go. Employee of the Month program. Employee recognition, reward and recognition program. Coaching and mentoring. A defined, documented career plan. Assistance to go back to college or to go to college. Certifications, accreditations. The list goes on and on. I'm here to tell you that sure, your industry absolutely is predicated on hard work. You need to fundamentally rethink your recruiting and talent acquisition process, because there are people who literally would almost die to come work for your company. If you're not finding them, you're not looking in the right place, because they're out there. They're out there. They're the ones who don't have an automatic career trajectory down the right road. They don't come from a family that has encouraged them to go to college. They don't necessarily have great job prospects or internships at their discretion. So you need to start thinking through where to go. So Stephen, I'll follow up with that with some other thoughts. I'm sorry. Yeah. So in a few minutes, I'm going to talk the characteristics and attributes of those people who do exhibit a strong work ethic, as well as many more desirable employee attributes you want and need to come into your company. So the first thought process is, if you don't have enough A's in your company right now, go find them at other organizations and see if you can encourage those people to jump. That may not be the best advice for me to give in a room that considers everybody family and there's business for everybody, but nonetheless, I'm going to be honest with you. Do you all think your company has the exact same reputational brand as each other? Meaning you're seen equally? It's a rhetorical. Don't get upset. I'm not going to pick on anybody. But that's a fundamental truism. How your organization is perceived, how your company's perceived locally, in towns, municipalities, in the state, how you are perceived creates a spigot that makes it easier or much more challenging to find, hire, and keep those A's and those B's. I want you, or whoever's responsible in your company, whether you're a small family business or you've got multiple locations in multi-state facilities, I want you to realize you need to start doing competitive intelligence. So get on your Sherlock Holmes and go online, because it's very easy. You can hire high school students to go in and work for your competitors, or you can go online and start to look at reviews. I understand they're not the be-all and end-all, but start to look at what people are saying who have worked in these either incredibly strong reputational companies or challenge reputational companies. What are some of the exceptional reputation companies in your industry? What are people saying about what it's actually like to work there? The information is there. Granted, online is a very skewed experiential base. Who goes online to post reviews about their experiences working in a company?
Ex-employees.
Yeah, but exactly. Are they, when you ask them about working in your company, their response is, meh? Are you going to go online and go, blah, 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 it was okay? People go online if they're incredibly happy with their employment experience, or conversely, much more frequently unhappy. So it is skewed. But you can start to do some background skunk work to figure out, in a SWOT type analysis, what are the strengths of your competitors in terms of recruiting top talent, and it ain't ever how much they're paying. The work is pretty much the same, right? So then why do some of your competitors have access to the best talent and they're willing to work hard for the pay? The information is out there. Find out what people are saying about your competitors' leadership team, their work experience there, what they really liked, what they didn't like. My question for you is to the audience as a whole. Who works in a company who does this regularly, daily, weekly?